What's up, Gaming Rebellion, and welcome to Game Revolt's Rebel Yell Gaming Podcast, where we talk about what's going on in the gaming world and share our thoughts for changing that world for the better, putting indie developers and gamers first. My name is Dirac, joined by our head honcho and Game Revolt's founder, Isaiah, and we'd love for you to join us as we have real conversations and navigate the industry. So, let's get into it. But first, a quick thank you to our community of rebels for tuning in. All right. What's up, Gaming Rebellion? I'm here with my co-host, Isaiah.
That's right.
And we were going over an article we saw recently posted about Riot Games. So Riot Games, the developer behind the popular title League of Legends, has recently announced the second round of layoffs in 2024. This latest round affects 32 employees, with 27 from the League of Legends team and 5 from publishing roles. This follows a much larger layoff in January 2024, where the company cut 530 jobs, representing about 11% of its global workforce. So as far as that goes, I don't really follow Riot Games the same way that like you or your brother does. So as far as this goes with the layoffs and everything, they're not saying exactly what they're doing it for. They're saying that they can focus on other projects. They're cutting back on funding and whatnot. What would your idea of what they're doing?
So I don't. Riot is a little tricky. I don't compare them to most game development companies. I would say it's because of money or they're being greedy. But Riot, I feel, while they do have their greedy tendencies sometimes, but they are usually very player centric.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of the few people that when they say they've had microtransactions since the beginning of League of Legends, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it actually doesn't impact gameplay. And you could make arguments for how things used to impact gameplay. And even before, that was more of a convenience thing, but they even took that out. And they've made it so that I haven't bought a skin in a long time, but you can earn skins in game. So you can their only source of revenue is really the cosmetic factor, and they give that away for free.
Right.
They have abilities for you to earn that for free too.
Right.
So this doesn't, with all that said, this doesn't strike me as they were
like doing
this
anything.
Is just a cost cutting measure. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe they realize a lot of software tech companies are realizing we might have overhired in certain regards. They said that they earlier in the year when they laid off a bunch of people, they said they made some bets that didn't work out.
That's fair.
Riot made some games that they make games and they license for other studios to make games under their IP and whatnot. And some games work, some games don't. Like TFT was a pretty big success.
Right.
I'm not really sure how big a lot of the layoffs earlier in the year came from the Legends of Runeterra, their card game.
Right. Yeah.
Team. Legends of Runeterra is a fun game. And I would argue the monetization's way better than Overwatch. Excuse me. Hearthstone, Blizzard's
Gotcha.
card game.
Gotcha.
Way better. Unfortunately, it might be too good because they apparently weren't making enough money to justify having the staff there. So it's just a tough industry. There's a lot of competition and whatnot. So that's the way I see it.
No, I see you. I mean, honestly, it didn't seem like it was anything out of the ordinary from what I read from the article. Like I said, I don't know too much about Riot Games personally, but from what I've seen and from the games that I've played that they made, it didn't seem like anything from what they've made was anything like out of the ordinary as far as monetization tactics and whatnot go. I mean, you get the typical stuff, but again, nothing crazy. But I do like that they're focused on trying to make their games fun with the League of Legends, and they had their projects like you mentioned Legends of Runeterra and some of their other games. I think they also, if I'm not mistaken, they also put out Valorant, where they help license. And I think that that game is pretty good. I tried it out the other day. I was just like, oh, this is actually, you know, pretty good. I could see why they would need to cut back because the industry does seem to be changing. I just, from my perspective, I can't tell where it's heading right now, but clearly they have a better vantage point. And if they see that if they just need to adapt, or maybe it's just what you mentioned, they're just trying to cut back on costs because they realize they're putting too much money into some of these projects that they either can't afford to put money towards or they don't need to put that much money towards, then it's just, you know, a business decision. And I think they should, you know, do what they have to do as a business. It is what it is. I mean, it sucks for the people who get their jobs cut, but as the article also states, they get their 6 months severance packages with healthcare. I believe it says, let me pull it up. They get 6 months pay, annual bonus, health coverage, and job placement assistance.
Yeah, so they're taking care of their people, which
Yeah.
unfortunately they don't need them at this point. The other thing to note is that they had announced back in like 2020, I want to say,
Mhm.
um, an MMO that they were going to release, and at the time they had Greg Street, he Ghost Trawler, he was the World of Warcraft guy.
Okay.
He led WoW for a few expansions, and then all of a sudden, I think earlier this year, they just said they're gonna have to do a complete reset on it.
Mm.
So they had who knows how much time in development. Ghostcrawler ended up leaving Riot at one point, and he's making his own MMO. Um, so
Huh.
who's to say how much time, investment, money, and whatnot went into developing this project, and now they have to just reset the entire thing.
Mm.
So, uh, unfortunately, with that, I think that also plays a factor in the layoffs.
I hear you. Honestly, kind of curious though. I mean, now that they're gonna have a little more extra capital that they can focus on their projects that make them the most money, which I assume would be League of Legends specifically, and Valorant. Do you see them possibly doing any new? Well, you mentioned the MMO. Do you think that maybe they might be trying to shift focus to trying to get that off the ground with these layoffs?
Um, that I don't know. To be honest with you, that's hard to say.
Hmm.
I'm very much again. I'm not. I'm almost anti MMO at this point. MMO, the genre I feel has just been played out,
I hear you.
and maybe they're seeing some of that, and that's why they're shifting focus and they're trying to bring something. The MMO genre needs something that is a lot more fresh and innovative in order to
Mm,
get me to play.
I
Right now,
get you.
every MMO plays exactly the same way. Like there's just no change whatsoever. They'll make like
Mm,
one gimmick, I guess, and but
hmm.
overall, it has all the DNA of what World of Warcraft uh, used to be without any of the
Mm,
enjoyment that I used to get out of World of Warcraft.
mm,
Are they maybe they're focusing on other things, but at the same time,
mm,
if you are, why do you need to lay off people? I'm not really sure. It's
mm.
if the 500 was only 10% of their workforce or something like that, so you would assume that's a workforce of like 5,000. So 30
Right,
people is not really that big
right.
uh, in comparison. So uh,
Do you think
I,
that maybe inflation has something to do with it? Just the current market in general, with like everything going up in price. I imagine it has to have a significant effect on the gaming industry, although the industry does make the amount of money that they do, and Riot is one of those companies that seems to be on the up and up. They try to do the right thing from what we can see. Um, it makes me wonder if maybe some of the other companies that are a little more greedy might be having that same type of struggle, if that is in fact the reason why they would need to do the cutbacks in the first place.
um Yeah, I mean, inflation is definitely going to be a factor with every industry, right?
Hmm.
But I think something that's probably more of a factor in Riot's case in particular is esports.
Okay.
Esports was something that Riot, I mean, they pretty much made esports from the ground up. They made it what it
Hmm.
is today,
Right.
and um, a lot of teams. Um, a lot of investors. They put so much money into this, and they were expecting one thing, and they were not getting it. And
Mm.
I think fans were also under the impression that they were going to get a different product than they've gotten. Say, for instance, at least here in North America, that's been the case. Worldwide, League of Legends, is growing, and the esports
Mm.
scene is getting bigger as they go into more developing countries. They're getting more and more people to tune in.
Mm.
On the North American side, it's become ever since 2018 is when I would say when
Mm.
they introduced franchising, and franchising injected a lot of money into League of Legends. However, it brought along all of the strings that are attached to that.
Right.
So now you can't just enjoy the broadcast. It's you got to watch the Mastercard play of the game on the Bud Light analyst desk. Like
Mm.
there's all these corporate sponsors and whatever, and it just removes from the immersion
Right.
of it as they try to become more like an actual sport, which I think is probably a bigger mistake and is impacting their business more so than inflation is at the moment.
So it's more just like the direction they're trying to take. Their expectations might have been a little set, a little too high, and they're realizing it's not turning out the way they had hoped. So that might be a little more influential to what they're dealing with right now as far as finances go.
Yeah, there's that, and we also can't forget the fact that FTX,
Mm.
the crypto exchange, they invested
Oh.
a lot of money into this too, and
Oh.
they pledged a lot. And I think Riot made a lot of forward-thinking projections based on the money that they were going to receive,
Okay.
and their FTX's CEO is in prison right now. So
Oh.
the those commitments can't be made. So all the projections and the things that they thought they were going to be able to do, the money they thought they were going to receive, they're not getting. So that
Wow.
also plays a factor.
I did not even know that.
Oh yeah, it's
So
been a big thing. He scammed like $9 billion out of people. Um,
what?
yeah, and it's been a really big thing. So yeah, he's in prison, and
Hmm.
the whole exchange was found out to be just one big Ponzi scheme.
Oh. See, that's one thing that concerns me with the industry right now is like just the with the cryptocurrencies and whatnot. I know a lot of people are concerned about games eventually changing into the what do you call it, the blockchain, I think it's
Right,
called, where
blockchain gaming.
you can use cryptocurrency to pay for things and whatnot. Some people will say that that's the future of gaming. I personally don't know enough about it to say that for certain, but I'm on the side that says like I want nothing to do with it. Although I know that the gaming industry does need something new. I think that is riddled with uh, too many things can go wrong with that. I don't know if you've looked into it yourself, but
Yeah, so I was actually on board with it at first. I thought it sounded very interesting to me. The whole
mm,
idea, you heard of NFTs, maybe
yeah,
non fungible tokens. So
yeah,
the idea, as my layman self thought,
mm,
was how you can have it allows you to have basically have a digital receipt for your copy of a game. So I
mm,
was thinking that, say on Steam,
mm,
you decide you bought Baldur's Gate 3,
right,
for example, and after you were done playing with it, you decided I don't want the game anymore, and
mm,
you can go sell your game back into the market on um so the person anybody could go and buy Baldur's Gate, a fresh real copy of Baldur's Gate 3 for the $60, but you could say I'm selling my used copy for $20 or whatever, and somebody else can
mm.
go buy your NFT of the game, and they'll have access to the game now for it. So
Okay,
this is the idea that I had going forward, was that it was going to be something to help create a marketplace for people to buy and sell with each other. And I always hear
mm,
the question like, well, why would companies do this? But the way
mm,
NFTs work is that if you sell the game for $20, you don't get
mm,
the full $20.
mm,
The original creator, he gets a portion of that. So the way what game companies were complaining what GameStop was doing was you would sell the game to GameStop and then GameStop would sell it to somebody else, but the
Mm.
original publishers, the creators, they don't get any piece of that, that
Uh,
that exchange there. So in this case, the original studios would get a piece of it. So I thought it was like a pretty good compromise. Like it'd be a win-win. But what we've seen
okay.
now is just, I mean, it's pretty much NFT and scam are just synonymous with each other at this point. So
Hmm.
it is going to be very hard to get people to even buy into this
Hmm.
idea now.
Especially considering like when you see the people who are trying to get it going, like they don't seem like the honest type. So I completely hear what you're saying when you say like scam and NFTs are like
Yeah,
synonymous with each other. It's
yeah.
like
People are trying to make money.
mm,
They're trying to just draw another source of revenue from this, and they're not trying to actually provide some kind of value that people would want to give them money for it.
right.
Um, it's
Yeah.
always the thing with the NFT thing is like it's always a promise that there's going to be some sucker later who will buy it for more money than you paid for it,
Hmm.
which I don't think is the route that it should. I wish that we lived in another timeline and it didn't go that route, but
Right.
here we are.
Right. Right. I think that's pretty interesting. Honestly, like if it were to go how you suggested, where it's like you do your exchange online, you have your marketplace or whatnot, and you can just you make your deals, and then publishers get their piece, and everything is like left at that. Like that honestly sounds awesome. I would love that. If that's the way it were pitched to me, but it just sounds like you're throwing money at something and it's a gamble. That's literally what it is. It's like I don't want anything to do with it. But yeah, I mean, maybe in the future if they were able to do something to make it work. But I say all that to say I was curious to see if maybe some of these companies might be trying to do something where they can go that route. I know with like Final Fantasy 14 for a little while they were mentioning that they were going to try to do they were going to try to implement NFTs in their game, and people just like lost it, and they were just like, "If you put that in that game, we're not playing anymore." And they're just like, "Ah, it was just a suggestion." It's like, it's it's
Because the
interesting to
question is
see.
why?
Yeah, yeah,
Why? What value do I get out of it, or am I just going to lose what I already had?
right. And I would think that part of the reason why they were doing that is because I think they have someone in their ear telling them, "Oh, this is the future. You might as well like start like implementing it into your stuff now, just so your game is future proof." I mean, that's what I think was going on because I
I
know
think
a
it's
few.
just we see throughout the past couple of years how there's just these buzzwords that get investors going. So you say
Mhm,
that you're doing something with crypto, NFTs. That was a buzzword today. The buzzword's AI. You say
mhm,
you're doing something with that, then everybody gets hyped up
yeah,
about it.
hmm,
We'll see what the buzzword tomorrow is.
yeah. I hear you, but yeah, it's yeah, I thought it was interesting. This article having to do with Riot Games making their cuts. I was honestly just curious to see what direction they were trying to go in, but quite honestly, it doesn't seem like anything different than any other business would need to do as far as cutting costs or just trying to refocus their business on the brands that with IP that works for them. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to go over. Anything come to mind on your end?
No, that's about it for me.
All right, cool, cool, cool. Well, that's it for this episode. We'll catch you on the next one.
Peace out.
Peace. Well, that about wraps it up for today's episode, Rebels. Don't forget to subscribe and stay informed on all things gaming. We've got some exciting projects coming up, so you won't want to miss what's next. We'd like to thank you again for tuning in and joining the rebellion. Until next time, happy gaming.